What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some Goa trance, or at least some psychedelic trance. See my previous videos where I talk about the way I make a slight distinction between those two. I do think there's some overlap. I think it's sort of a Venn diagram. But yeah, bottom line for me, Goa I use more in relation to older, like 90s psychedelic trance, heavier kick drums, a lot of acid, a lot of twisted sounds, and then newer tracks, post 2000 tracks, I would tend to use more often the label psytrance, like punchier, kind of like tighter kick drums, maybe a little bit more melody, even if it is sort of like a twisted tune. Again, I think a lot of people might use them interchangeably. I have no problem with that. Maybe they might use them not interchangeably but define the two differently than I do. That's totally fine too. But again, when you talk about genres that have like fuzzy borders and have like changed over time, sometimes you just have to start using words in certain ways, and that's sort of the way that I've come to use them. To be clear, there are new tunes that are, I would definitely say, Goa trance. I mentioned it a couple times. A release that I've already reacted to a couple tunes from, Gamma Draconis by Suntrip. It's a double LP of like classic style Goa trance, but made in more recent years. Came out 2020, including tracks from like Astral Projection and some of the like, sort of real old school legends of the scene. But yeah, so we're gonna listen to a tune. It's funny. I have been a big fan of Astral Projection for a long time. I have all of their studio albums that are available on vinyl, even the like unmixed one, which is kind of like remixes of their tunes, but also all of their proper studio albums, including Another World. This is a brilliant album and track, and indeed the track Another World goes back to like the very earliest days before they were actually called Astral Projection. They did a release as SFX, like the letters SFX, that was called Another World, and it was sort of the initial draft, if you will, of the tune that would become Another World, the Astral Projection track, and the sort of key or like title track of this album. So yeah, the SFX version is essentially like a early rendition of the tune that there is more famously known for this album. So eventually, they put out a record on, let me guess, is it Suntrip? It is Suntrip, yes indeed. So in 2017, Suntrip, which again has been releasing Goa Trance and Psytrance vinyl in recent times, which massive shout to them. I've bought a couple of the releases, including one that, it's an older album by Raw, but it was never given a vinyl release. They just in the last like few months, they put out a double LP of that. I got that as well. I think it's called Nine or Ninth. Yeah, and I did react to one of the tunes, Ultima Energica, so check that out if you're interested. But yeah, shout out to Suntrip for releasing Goa and Psytrance on vinyl in the modern days. Psytrance and Goa, it was one of the genres that went digital more rapidly and more comprehensively than a lot of other genres, which I respect it. I know it drives costs down. It means, if you can keep the label going digitally and still release tracks, and obviously turn of the millennium, a lot of like DJs were going digital, and that really intensified in the mid-aughties. By 08 or 09, I think the vinyl resurgence had started, and a number of labels were trying to put out vinyl again. But like I said, I respect the fact that there are some labels that have continued to put out Goa and Psytrance vinyl, like Tip World is another example, or just Tip in general. But yeah, bottom line, shout out to Suntrip. So this came out in 2017. It has a remix of Another World by Astral Projection called the 2017 remix, but it also has a remix of an Astral Projection tune called Let There Be Light, which a friend of the channel, Tasos, was talking about. And he was saying, it took him a while to find it because it's not on one of their albums, and I totally get that. There's a number of Tip compilations where they're called like Orange and White, and like they're like color names, and there's a number of different ones, and some of the tunes on those are like one-offs. They're only, at least on vinyl, available on those compilations. They're not like on 2-track EPs or like full LPs. So yeah, it can be difficult to find some tracks for those kind of reasons. So I don't have the original one, but on this vinyl there is a Filteria remix, which was done in 2017. So I don't know much about Filteria. Modern, or at least more modern psytrance artist, I assume. Let's look it up while we're here. Might as well do that. But yeah, initially I bought this release for the Astral Projection remix of their own tune, Another World. But yeah, I did actually get 2 copies of the record. So Filteria, it is Giannis Zikas. It's like Tziks. I don't know if you say that Zikas, but yeah, Goatrans project from Stockholm, Sweden. Appears to be one guy, but he's put out a number of albums, and I say like more recent, but his first album came out 2004, so he's definitely been making tunes for quite a while. But again, I think a lot of the stuff that he's done, and it's all on Suntrip, is from what I can see, or like all the albums anyway, they're all like CD only. So yeah, perhaps at some point we might get you know, some reissues of his albums in vinyl form. That would be cool. But yeah, bottom line, this is a Filteria remix of an Astral Projection tune originally available on a Tip compilation. So yeah, let's get to it. Oh, and in fact, it even says it right here. Remixed by Giannis Zikas in the Filteria studio, Stockholm, Sweden. So yeah, shout out to Filteria. Shout out to Suntrip, as I said once again, for putting out Psy/Goa vinyl in the last few years, including as recently as this year. But here we go. This is the Filteria remix of Astral Projection, Let There Be Light. Ominous. Feels like there's like synth demons just off camera, like. There's a number of tracks that have sampled this over the years. Kokuma's Energetic samples this. There's a track on Teleka by Experimental Fluctuation, and it's called Man Does Not Understand. Also samples that bit. Oh. Listen to the like electric intensity of the sort of rolling side bass / rhythm. Come on. Fantastic. Melodic acid. That needling layer too. Like, when I get records, I rip MP3s of all the tracks. I've been doing that for almost a decade now. Not like way back in the day, but so I know I would have heard this when I got the record, but like, I need to be using this more in my side transmissions. Like, what the hell? I might have to do like a new psychedelic flights trip just for this. Like, just start with this and see what happens. Get the fuck out of here. I am remembering this now, though. So sometimes when, like, I get a record and I'm recording the tracks, I'm also doing, like, I'm working on the computer or whatever, but sometimes it's like, oh, shit. I gotta, like, stop what I'm doing and just remember this melody doing that to me before. Kind of little gurgling acid snarls, like one kind of high, one lower. while that sort of frantic melody is up on top doing its thing. Still does not understand. The main driving line of the melody, but then there's like kind of these heavier, like sort of more frantic like accents on either side of that main line. Oh, the tonal shift right there. Brilliant. Is that like really on the record? That's insane. Almost thought it like skipped for a second because of the way it just like ground to a halt. It's the fucking record. Well, that's fucking bullshit. Let's find out what's going on here. Yeah, see, it didn't do it that time. I don't know what the fuck that was. Like, there was a perfectly positioned piece of dust on the stylus or something? I guess we'll find out if it skips again. Lucky I have 2 copies of this, right? Oh, I'm curious what you're gonna do, my guy. It sounds fucked up. It's gonna skip again. Right? Yeah? Oh, yeah. I'm not sure what's going on here, but at least it didn't do it twice. I'm still not convinced that there are no flaws in the vinyl. It was just a speck of dust. I do think there might be an issue with this last part, but again, I have another copy, so hopefully whatever that was is not present on the other copy. But, you know, good to know if I do another psychedelic flight mix where I start with this. I'll probably use the other copy on the hope that it doesn't do that. This is a really well-layered tune. I don't know, sometimes I wonder, like, as someone who's always listened to Goa and Psy, but for which it's, you know, except very early on, it was never like my main genre. When people use the term full on, it's tunes like this, yes? Like real, like faster, driving, kind of wicked sort of tunes, right? I do believe that's the way people use full on within the Goa scene, but if I'm getting that wrong, do let me know. I love that. I love that. So yeah, hopefully that was just some weird like scruff of dust that found its way onto the stylus that made it skip like that. But that was funny because like when it first slid into that breakdown, it was timed just at the end of the measure, so it was like, wait, was that like a really idiosyncratic like, you know, flair to end the measure? But no, it was actually the vinyl sliding, or the stylus sliding. So yeah, glad it didn't do it a second time. Not sure what's going on there, but a really cool tune. And yeah, it makes me wish I had the original so I could do like a direct comparison. I am going to do a direct comparison for the Another World original mix, which is not really the original mix. As I said, there was an earlier version under the name SFX. But yeah, I'm going to do the Another World that's on the Another World album by Astral Projection, and then I'll do the 2017 remix from this vinyl, which is very cool as well. You know, it's slightly different from the original. I'll leave it up to you whether, you know, you think it's better or the original is better. I think it's kind of that like two paintings thing where it's like, oh, it's two paintings by the same painter. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, it's two different things, you know. So yeah, I kind of have that opinion. I don't know if it's necessarily better than the original, but I wouldn't say it's worse. I'd say it's, you know, it approaches the same sort of ideas and sounds, but then like configures them a little differently. So yeah, let me know what you think when we get there, or do let me know if you have this vinyl or if there's another tune by Filteria that you think is a good track. It seems like most of his stuff, as I said, is digital, and you know, not really having known his work until recently, until I got that record. I don't think I have much, if any of it, so you know, might not be able to react to stuff, but do shout it out if there's a cool tune or one of his albums. Other than that, thank you for listening and watching. I'll see you next time. Oh shit.